Normally I'd tell you why it is a good morning, but what I did wish to do this morning kind of got convoluted. So I'm here in the evening. Why is it a good evening? Because you're here, I'm here, the sky is blue, the grass is green, and CO2 is not a pollutant. Anyways, I was doing a video this morning on my thoughts for election questions, and well, things got busy and I got shut down and lost my thought. And what I did wish to, like, one of my election questions, what the hell is with this capital gains thing? Okay, now I understand capital gains for corporations, like, you know, the corporations that are building the LNG contract on the west coast of Canada, with no bids allowed from any Canadian companies and no Canadian tradesmen, young people coming out of college to go get any experience, because the man I address as Justin, who acts as Prime Minister, broke all the laws that we had there as the safety net to make sure there was fair play, just gave it over to China and broke all the rules. And so they can dump their polluted, crappy steel on us, give the slave labor more work, and deliver the corporate body politic and their corporate cronies some cheap labor. Whoa, I have an issue with that. I haven't heard the mainstream media talk about that. You know what? The mainstream media, oh jeez, man, I'm like, they're not mainstream media, okay? They're liberal cohorts, they're liberal incumbents, these people are not of the nation, okay? These people are definitely against you and I. And personally, I don't subscribe or ascribe to any of them. And I believe that less and less of us have subscribed to these guys, which is why Trudeau is giving them, it wasn't just another 600 million on top of the 1.2, 1.4 billion that they've given these guys to buy them off and make them Trudeau spokesman. But now they're giving them like 5 million, 3 million, 2 million, 6 million in contracts just to access their what do they call them? I forget what they call it, but you know, just to access their records for past stories. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was watching, you know, as the man I address is Justin, who acts as Canada's Prime Minister. He was about to announce the election, right? The one he's not really interested in, won't go into any debates on, and and they're not letting other media in there. Only his pet media can come in there. What are we going to do, folks? What are we going to do? Like, who does this man serve? Seriously, who does he serve? Because he certainly doesn't serve you and I. So my big question this morning was about capital gains. And I realized capital gains is like, I could see it for a corporation. You know, a corporation buys in on, invests on some, you know, like brick and mortar and stuff, and the prices rise up and they make a profit, so they pay capital gains on that. But in no way in hell should mom and pop, who spent their whole life, who spent their whole life paying taxes, they have their property. It's their property. It's not the government's property. It's not the municipality property. Don't even get me started on that. But I will tell you about how the municipality screws you on becoming first owner whenever you do buy a property. And I will also show you your lawful excuse or your provision to take your property out of the municipality. But that's at a later date. So, mom and pop and the family farm. Now, most family farms have, they've been basically coerced into incorporating as a corporation. Otherwise, they can't get loans on the tractors they need and to compete and stuff. I mean, equipment is not cheap. I mean, nothing is cheap on this land anymore. Within this poorly run I want to say country, but you know, within our nation, you know, the corporate body runs everything so poorly that you know, like, you know, the Canuck dollar, what is it, the Loonie, the Goonie, the Mulgooney Loonie, you know, that he gave us, took us off the dollar. Anyways, you know, it's so poorly run that, you know, you can barely buy a bucket of water for a loonie. Taxes are so high, it's like, you know, 43% just off the top. Like, it's just crazy. It is crazy what these guys are doing to us. You know, how they keep propagandizing, well, to our children, how the world is coming to an end. Yeah, the world is coming to an end here because these guys are making the end of the world for us. And it's not because mankind is here. It's not because they're blaming, they're calling CO2 a pollutant, which is a life-giving force. They're confusing global warming with climate change. It's like all nuts. It's all propaganda. So getting back to capital gains. So a man and his wife, they believe in the Canadian dream, which is why many people came here. And they build up something, and they pay their taxes, and they're law-abiding citizens, and they do everything that's statutorily obliged to them to do. Now, they pay their taxes on their energy, and energy is a necessity. It's not even allowed to be taxed on this land, by the way, guys, but we'll get into that one too. So they spend their life, pay. So at the end of their life, they wish to leave their family farm or their home or whatever to their descendants. Well, hang on. Now there's capital gains. Well, that was worth this when you got it. Now it's worth this, and now your kid has to pay, you know, $100,000 if they wish to inherit the family farm. Well, why? Because now they classify it as a corporation because you were coerced into having a corporation out of the family farm because you couldn't get a bank loan for the tractor you needed unless you were a corporation. This is what they've done to our people, all right? So this isn't just a single, some kind of single strand. I mean, the establishment hits us from every direction. It's like a big octopus, and they come at you from every direction. Every direction they come out with some kind of singular reason. You know, let us reason together. Let's reason away your rights. Let's reason away common sense. You know, and each one hits a family. And I'm sure, you know, I'm sure I can spout this off because we've all been hit with it. They have us running around, like most folks in the cities, are running around for crap wages. 5 a.m. sitting in line in their little plastic Nissan crossover or whatever the heck you call those things, sitting outside at Tim Hortons in that line with the big sign that says, BC doesn't idle, right? When it's 20 below outside trying to get a coffee to get to work so you can get on the rush to make your crap wage so that you can pay for your caregivers or whatever else you need, and the extreme amount of money they're charging us for basic necessities. Necessities are not supposed to be taxed. Now, there should be no, like, the only reason that we allowed like gasoline, diesel to be taxed because that tax was designated for our roads. We allowed a tax, even though gas and diesel was a necessity, we allowed a tax so that we could put the tax to build roads, so that the public could access their highways, which we have a right to. So they've twisted that all around, and you got these special interest groups and blah blah blah, and these guys on their 10 speeds and only live down in some, you know, urban frickin' Vancouver or Toronto or so, you know. Guys, we live in the biggest, well, the second biggest country in the world, okay, we have a landmass with about the fewest people. And we've been doing that for hundreds of years. We have to have. Energy is a necessity here. It's not a luxury here. And there's no way that old folks should change, you know, decide, well, do I pay my power bill under my one little light bulb, you know, and keeping the heat down? Or do I eat? I remember back in the 80s when the inflation hit and stuff, you know, old people were eating cat food. And the reason they were eating cat food instead of dog food is cats don't process the proteins like dogs do, so they have to put way more protein in cat food, which is why the vet tells you not to feed your dog cat food or your dog will get fat, you know, because there's way more in it. And this kept old people alive in the 80s. The last guy I called, or I addressed as Mr. Trudeau, was running the place. We've always had homeless people, but it's crazy now. The homelessness that's here is just nuts. And I think I saw something on that Communist Broadcasting Corporation there, owned by the Crown, CBC I think you call it. You know, they're saying, well, people like to be homeless, so it's okay. It's nuts. So my whole thing this morning was just going to be about capital gains. Okay, capital gains is not, should not, and we should stop capital gains on families, okay, on personal people, like on man and woman, like on the folks. That's a corporate deal. And those guys, you know, they write everything off, that, which is why they don't pay taxes. But that's their issue. If I wish to leave my home or my piece of property that my granddad left my dad and who left me to my children, that's my property. The tax has been paid on it. You know, the hell with you and your capital gains. So my question for these guys, will you end capital gains on family farms and individual people? Just keep it for corporate. That was going to be my rant this morning, and it's my rant this afternoon. And I have much more. Much more. Anyways, thanks guys. Have a good night.